an empowering community engaged in open conversations about a topic that has not been yet embraced by the society with all the respect and acceptance that it deserves. Well, due to various reasons, be it societal barriers or stigma, you name it. Well, some remarkable women sharing their inspiring stories about this beautiful aspect called menopause. Joining me on this episode of the Story Loom from the 973 show are the members of the Menopause Cafe in Bahrain. Welcome to the show. Welcome, lovely ladies. It's really nice to see all of you here, all lovely, bright faces. And I think it's indeed an honor for me to be hosting this episode of the Story Loom because I am a part of you to begin with. And it's, as I said, it's a topic which really needs to be out there, discussed and embraced with all its beauty, as I would call it, and due importance. To begin with, the brain behind this, Tracy Burrows, a good friend of mine. Tracy, tell us in a nutshell about the Menopause Cafe to begin with.
Thank you, Raji. Menopause Cafe has been running now for 2 years, and the reason that I started it with my co-founder Rachel was that through both of our personal experience, we recognized that there was a need for a place where women could go to discuss being in menopause, where it felt safe and non-judgmental, with women who would really listen and understand and who would really get it. And there just didn't seem to be a place like that in Bahrain at the time, so we decided to have a go and set up a meeting, and then 2 years later, here we are. The reason that I was attracted to the Menopause Cafe format itself, just to give you some background, Menopause Cafe is a UK initiative. It's a charity initiative, and I was attracted to it because it's a non-profit organisation. So the focus is very much on awareness and bringing about change for menopausal women all over the world, not just in the UK. And it's a very, rather than just focusing on profit, so it's a very, it was already a mature organisation when I came across it, so it's tried and tested, and I really like this very simple and straightforward formula that they have in place. It's all about discussion. It's first and foremost a discussion group, and one of the main ethos of Menopause Cafe is that it's free. Nobody should ever have to pay to come along and talk about menopause. And so that really appealed to me. As I said, the structure was already in place, the guidelines were already in place, even to the point where there is a great support system for the hosts themselves. And so I thought, well, let me run with this system and see how it goes. And here we are, 2 years on, thriving. And our membership went, I think that very first meeting, there were probably around 6 of us. Some of the ladies here today were there, will remember it. And now we have 170 members.
Great.
Yeah, and hoping to grow.
Right, yeah. Tracy, I was just listening to you. You use the words discussion, listening, conversation, isn't it? And that too about a topic which really needs a lot of discussion, isn't it?
Yes.
How easy is it? You know, the taboo factor or the stigma factor is definitely out there. I'm sure you all agree. And trust me, I think it's thanks to social media and COVID initiatives, people are hearing about this phrase or this word, menopause. Many people, especially with all due respects, the family members, they really don't understand or they really don't know about it. Would anyone like to elaborate on the need for this being discussed?
Good morning. My name is Leah Wright. I have a small business. I sell bio jewelry here in Bahrain. Thank you for being here. It's really important to promote the subject because in line with your question, what I think is if I had known now, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have struggled with all that I did alone. And I believe that every time I speak to the older people, older than me, they either don't acknowledge don't know, or they're oblivious to the fact that what they felt is menopause symptoms. Because they all seem to be, I didn't have any issues. And when I speak to my younger friends, and most of my friends about 15, 10 years younger than me, and I notice their complaints, and I say, these are menopause symptoms. Maybe you should talk to your gyno. And they say, no. I don't have issues yet. I'm still menstruating. And I said, well, there's a window between 35 and 55 years that every woman that has female organs will go through. And it's okay. It doesn't change you. It doesn't make you better or less than anyone. But if you address, your struggles will be easier to deal with. And that's what I feel. There's still a little bit of prejudice, and there's still a little bit of the unknown and the stigma that menopause makes you less of a female.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I want to add.
Leah, very well said, because most of the time we women want to dismiss this thing called, menopause comes with certain symptoms, and we tend to associate it with an ailment rather than a transition phase. And the word that I would pick from what you said is struggles. Most of the time women go through struggles which are either identified or manifested. Sometimes we ignore it, and sometimes we identify it or we do not relate to menopause. Would someone take me through, what are the common symptoms that we can identify that we are in that window, which she just said, between 35 and 55? Anybody?
Hi, my name is Bisan, and I actually been diagnosed with menopause almost 2 years ago. I'm 42 years now. My symptoms started early, but I didn't know about menopause. And my friend actually, she hooked me up with Tracy, and this is how I started actually learning about it. Because for me, some of the main symptoms was heavy menstrual bleeding, it was very, it came not a month apart, it was very short, cycles were very, very close. And I bled for 30 days. And it was, for me, the hot flashes and all of this, as everybody is saying, is a stigma. Nobody tells you about it. Your parents, my mom, my aunts, everybody, it's not something you talk about, basically. So for me, these are some of the anxiety. I can tell you now, I have the anxiety. So many things, actually. So for me, that are most of the...
Yeah, and as Bizan said, most of the time we do not want to address the abnormal cycles or the symptoms like heavy bleeding for a long... It's usually associated as a gynec issue, isn't it? We do not think... Would you like to add to it?
Yeah, just to add, first, I'm Laetitia. I have a plant-based food blog, so I'm eating only plant-based, and this is something very important for menopause as well. But regarding the symptoms, actually, Menopause Cafe, and you always share that there is a chart with it's 34 symptoms for menopausal lady, and this is very important because when you take all the symptoms together, a few of them, when you are recognized with few of those symptoms, you can tell that you are facing the menopause. And if you don't know, you're going to be treated for one of those symptoms and not all together. And the problem is that the medical team here in Bahrain or abroad, they don't know about menopause. They don't know what you are facing. So Menopause Cafe, it's a great place to look for options, to see what other people are going through, to understand that the symptoms you are going through are actually normal symptoms when you are menopausal ladies, so you don't feel lost. For me, Menopause Cafe, and I wished it was there when I was menopause, because I'm postmenopausal. I'm 45 years old, so it started 3 years ago. It was a huge journey. Menopause Cafe didn't exist at the time, and I couldn't find information. And nobody could tell me and didn't believe I was menopaused at the time. So this is why a Menopause Cafe can help you and guide you, because you need to do your own research to know where you have to go which doctor you need to see and what you need to take, either conventional medicine or natural one. So this is something I wanted to emphasize.
The words like diagnose and doctor and medicines might give this word a shade of an ailment, but correct me if I'm wrong, because you women would have been discussing more about this. It's not an ailment, right? It's just a transition phase, isn't it? And just like how Leticia touched upon, there is help. There is help out there. And that's where we come to the medical side of it. Because the conditions can be ranging from anxiety to depression to physical ailments to emotional, isn't it? Tracy, would you like to add to it, please?
I'm so glad this point came up, and thanks, Leticia, for talking about that. It's really important. One of the first things, if a person is new to Menopause Cafe, one of the first things we will advise them to do, if they're not sure, are they in perimenopause or are they not? They're not sure. I think probably most women will...
Sorry to break you. Can you just explain the perimenopause and the postmenopause?
Yeah, perimenopause is the stage where it's the longest stage. Or no, maybe not, because postmenopause, once you come through into postmenopause, actually, you'll be in that stage for the rest of your life. But in terms of symptoms, that's the stage where it usually starts around the age, the changes start around 35 years of age for most women, but they're not that noticeable for most women. And then usually by age 45, you will start to notice that you don't quite feel the same as you did before. But I think and then after usually that stage of known as perimenopause, I think the titles and the parameters are changing, but right now this is what we go by. We just follow what the medical profession goes by. But I do see the vocabulary changing a little bit. But perimenopause can last anything from 5-6 years to 10 or 15 years. In fact, it's very, very different for each different woman. And then from the point that your period has stopped for a year, 12 months, you then are considered to be postmenopause. And that's the stage that you'll be in for the rest of your life. But if I may just go back to this important issue of symptoms, one of the reasons that we talk about it so much is, first of all, for many of us, we had no idea we were in perimenopause until we saw the list. And this was my experience as well. And I had not been feeling very well for about a year and a half, just noticing strange things and noticing that I didn't seem to be coping as well as I used to. I run my own business, and just showing up on time became even more of a challenge, and all sorts of small giveaways that when I look back make it very obvious. But for most women, it isn't until you see that list that the penny drops. Because as Leticia mentioned, this is not unique to Bahrain, this is all over the world. Most doctors, unfortunately, we're not in an era yet where doctors are really very well informed when it comes to menopause. And so we are a generation that is having to advocate for ourselves, educate ourselves, know what the symptoms are, and very importantly, for people who will go into perimenopause early, like some of our members have, you need to track those symptoms so that you can sit down in front of your doctor and they will believe you. You don't have to try and convince them, because as you said, otherwise there is a risk that you will be treated for the individual symptoms, which isn't treating the overall problem. So it's really important, if anybody wants to know where to start, educate yourself on the symptoms.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tracy, for explaining that in detail. I would now move to the medical side of it, conventional medicines and, going to a doctor for this and having to explain, etc. And that's where I would want to bring in Anita's expertise. Anita Menon needs no introduction in Bahrain. A great friend of mine, plus, thank you to Anita for Sri Saukya. And I think, Tracy, you have collaborated with Sri Saukya. And when it comes to Ayurveda, I'm proud of being an Indian myself, and I think Ayurveda offers a lot of solutions as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So happy to be in the presence of all these wonderful women, and quite interested and intrigued by all your stories and struggles, and but before I kind of answer that, I'd like to tell you that it's been a God-given opportunity for me to have met Tracy at the right time, because I started Sri Saukya, which is an Ayurvedic clinic in Mahuz, and we started it last year in December. And then that's how my paths crossed with Tracy, and we had her over. And for me personally, I haven't been feeling myself for the past one year since I embarked on this Ayurvedic project. And it just felt to me that my energy had just dropped to 50% of what it used to be. And after her workshop, it just brought a lot of things to light that yes, I may be in the perimenopause cycle myself, and it was difficult to accept because it also means that you're getting older. So it's just very difficult to accept. But it's also very difficult to accept that whatever you're doing, you can't do it with the same energy and enthusiasm as before. It's really, really difficult. So I'm still in the process of accepting it, haven't reached there yet. So now that aside, yes, in Ayurveda we have various therapies and medicines to help you transition this in a very graceful way. So if I think Tracy is much better poised in answering, because she has been with Dr. Ravi herself during this process of her menopausal, struggle, and she's had a lot of benefit through it. I think I will also be myself going to my doctors and telling them that please help me out. But as of now, we are putting a lot of packages in place where we help out women, trying to understand what exactly their symptoms are, and then proceeding to give that exact custom solution for them through Ayurveda. And that includes massage therapies, which Ayurveda is very well known for, and secondly, medication, which helps you balance your hormones in a very natural way. It's not going to be instant. It will take some time to kind of reset that or, normalize it to some extent, but it will help. And of course, Ayurveda does not have as many side effects as all the allopathic medicines do usually. So this is why we are trying to promote heavily, and we're focusing on menopause, particularly with Tracy's help.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what we're trying to do here.
Thanks, Anita. Thank you for that.
Welcome to Sri Saukya Ayurvedic Center, where ancient healing meets modern wellness. Located in the heart of Mahuz, our center offers a wide range of authentic Ayurvedic treatments. Our team of experts is dedicated to providing you with the highest quality care using only the best natural and organic products.
Sisterhood, fellowship, groups, isn't it? I love these concepts because you always need someone out there to vent yourself, to share, to speak, and a good listener, person who understands, listens, isn't it? And that's the beauty of such groups called Menopause Cafe. And I love this name, whoever. It's so light, it's so breezy, isn't it? I think it goes with every season. I was just thinking about the phrase, and is it summery? Is it? No, it has got fall colors on it, isn't it? And it's as cozy as the winter, and it's so bright like the spring. So I think it's all about fellowship. It's about having people by your side who understands you. So coming back to the rest of the members, how have your journey been with the Menopause Cafe?
Hello, my name's Jo, and just want to kind of go on from that, Raji, that sisterhood, that kind of group support has been huge for me. And I apologise if I get emotional because that's how much it means to me. Because as we talked about before, Leticia pointed out, 34 symptoms. And if you're experiencing many of those, it makes it really, really tough, just day-to-day life. Breathe.
Breathe in, breathe out, right, Tracy?
So to have somewhere to go where you can be this vulnerable and get that validation that actually what you're experiencing is normal.
Normal, yeah.
Is being experienced by other women.
You're not alone.
That you're not going mad because the symptoms. You touched on it, Raji. You said it's not ailments, but sometimes they are so powerful to the point where 18 months ago I was Googling early onset dementia because literally, like, people that I'd known for a long time, just forgetting their names. I think I know these people, but could not pinpoint their names in my memory. And yeah, I think going on from what Tracy's saying, that chart of symptoms is huge to look at from mental health, physical, because I think there's just so many misconceptions. From my own experience of going to doctors here in Bahrain and being told by 3 doctors, no, you are not experiencing the perimenopause. You are still menstruating. You're still menstruating regularly. For me, though, the key is things like the word irregular. And through education that I've done myself, talking to women in the Menopause Cafe, that it's those sort of words that you really need to kind of focus in on. So when we're talking about heavy bleeding, if that's a change for you, that's irregularity, and that's what it was for me. I wasn't getting the kind of the common symptoms in terms of the hot flushes during the day, and because I wasn't getting those common symptoms, the advocating that I was doing for myself, I was being told, no, you're too young. I'm 44 now. You're too young. And no, you're not getting hot flushes, you're still menstruating, therefore you're not going through the perimenopause. So I did a lot of educating myself, and then to come and find the Menopause Cafe in Bahrain, the WhatsApp group that goes alongside that, and having members in the WhatsApp group that when you post, this is my experience, and then they very kindly message you and say, yep, I've had that experience too, and here's a doctor that will listen to you. It's invaluable. So that, as you said, Raji, that sisterhood, that fellowship, to me, that's what Menopause Cafe is about. Yes, it does have that lovely light feeling, which I think is key in terms of not being daunting about going along to it, that, you're just going for a chat with other lovely ladies and having a coffee. But the listening, the true empathy and the warmth to be able to be this vulnerable, it is, as you said, Tracy, life-changing and life-saving.
Beautiful. Right. Incidentally, this is the 3rd time this week I'm telling about how beautiful sisterhood is, how beautiful things can happen when women come together. I think we should applaud ourselves, isn't it? Lovely women. Because the norm of the world is like, no 2 women get along well. But that's wrong. That's really wrong. We do get along well. Joy, that was beautiful sharing from your side. That would mean a lot to many out there, because there would be people living in their own islands, thinking that, oh no, something's wrong with me. And I can very well identify with that word, am I going crazy kind of feel, and you really don't know what's happening to you, right? Isn't it? There are many truths out here.
Hi, my name is Tasneem. I hope, thanks to Tracy, that I'm over here. Yes, as you said, Raji, thank you so much, Raji, for inviting us here. As you said, yes, like our family, they don't understand what we women are going through. Because like I'm still in my pre, I've not yet come to the med, but I have got a lot of symptoms, like those 34 symptoms. I had them, but I always think, oh, maybe because of this, maybe I'm diabetic, or maybe I've got thyroid because of those. But later on when I came to Menopause Cafe, and then I said, okay, it's not just me who's abnormal, like, we all are abnormal.
I like the word.
And that abnormal is normal for us, like, So then I said, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. This is one stage which I'm getting into. And then I got to know so many ladies who were more advanced than me. So I know it helped me to cope up with it. And then I keep educating my family. See, you guys have to change your attitude towards me. It's not me who is this thing. You guys have to accept me like this. And this is what the changes I'm going through right now. And mashallah, my family is like, they're trying to understand, yes, okay, she's going through this, so they know how to behave towards me. But I know some people, like the families, they are not at all that cooperative with the lady in the house. They think that something is wrong with her, they make her crazy, and then you just can't control that then.
Right.
Yeah.
That brings me to my next point is, we are living in a world where we're talking of inclusive world, inclusive space, isn't it? Be it a breastfeeding mother or a pregnant woman. There are a lot of leverages extended to women with all, which is needed out there. You stand up when you see a woman walking in with a child, you offer her a seat. And as I said, the breastfeed. Do you think this phase in life is something like that, which would want a space defined, or we need to be identified and recognized, given a social inclusivity? Would you like to take on that?
Yeah, and it's happening. It's happening. I have seen, just to give you a really random statistic, but it's estimated at the moment, and I'm speaking, these are UK statistics, but it's always good to have a baseline to give you an understanding, that around 1 million women will a year will leave their jobs, will have to leave the workplace when they enter enter perimenopause, because we all know how rearranging and upsetting and debilitating the symptoms can sometimes be. It's very difficult to keep up your work at the same level that you did before. And so up until very recently, a woman would just have to leave. We have members in our group that have shared this. They were in good positions, high level positions, and suddenly found that they just couldn't do their job anymore. It doesn't make you feel good. Mm-hmm. And they would have to leave and end maybe what have been lifelong careers and important roles. But things like that are changing now. I think it was Google. I think it was Google. I saw an article last week that said that Google have now implemented a program to support menopausal women in the workplace, so that they don't lose that talent and that experience, and they're able to retain that. And so I'm seeing more and more of this kind of thing happening.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
More acceptance. I think obviously, we are a bit slower here. We're not the only people. There are very few countries in the world that are trailblazing in this way right now. But we're women. We're very powerful. It's going to spread quickly. These things are changing. They are changing, and it is through initiatives like ours, and just through the word menopause starting to enter the mainstream. So it is very important, because it is a life stage. We've used those words, diagnosis, we've talked about doctors, we've talked about hormone therapy, we've talked about natural solutions. It's not a disease, it's not an illness. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen to every single, as somebody said, female, woman with a female anatomy. It's a life stage, it's a transition.
Right.
And if you put it in the context of your whole life, from birth to death, it's another stage, it's another transition. We've been through transitions before. This is another transition. So, there needs to be, it needs to become more mainstream, and it is.
Great. And we are living in an age of innovation, and isn't it? So we need to be innovatively creative to change this transition as well into something beautiful. Yes, please.
Hello, my name's Samantha. I've got my own organisation here called Movement. Among other things around people development, we have a real key focus on mental and physical well-being that we were talking about earlier. I started studying mental wellness 2 years ago. I'm not a doctor, but I studied it. And I guess unbeknown to me, I was suffering from some of the symptoms and I hadn't met Tracy. So it was about 3 years ago. So from studying and understanding about mental and physical wellness, it's so interesting and scary to look at the facts that 1 in 3 people will have a mental issue in their lifetime, and that's been exacerbated by COVID. Mm-hmm. And what's not included in that, although I do talk about it when I deliver the programs, is a lot of the time it's women who are going through the menopause that are included within that. And when you look at 1 million people who will be suffering from that, it does bring cause to concern. So looking at mental wellness, helping organisations be educated to be what I call more human, incorporates and includes those women in the workplace who are suffering and require attention. And it's not an ailment, we're not going mad, but there are some clear distinctions when you look at anxiety and depression and some of those symptoms. And many women, like you said, Tracy, leave work because they think they have severe depression or severe anxiety. Not always the case. They just want to find a doctor or people or the Menopause Cafe that we're so fortunate to have here, that they can talk, discuss, share views and opinions, choose alternative remedies. I'm someone who's chosen not to go down the medical route, and I've done it my way. I don't know if I'm rebelling against my mother who's in her 70s and is still on HRT. We have choices now rather than having to be forced to choose the medical route if that's your choice, or not do anything about it and suffer in silence in some instances, or we can utilise some amazing Ayurvedic opportunities out there. So I think, coming back to the taboo, the more we talk about menopause, the more people are free to open to come to these cafes. I've got lots of friends who are much younger than me and don't believe I'm going through the menopause, but they're also, irrespective of, culture and religion and from whichever country, they're really beginning to open up and understand that actually I do want to know about this because it is going to happen to me at some point. Yeah. And the same with men. Helping men understand it as well. Well, that's another topic, isn't it? Thank you.
That's a totally different topic, and which I think should be addressed at some point. Then November is a beautiful month to celebrate men, isn't it?
Sam, you touched something really important. The number 1 symptom that I realized after joining Menopause Cafe is that I was having mental issues. I've always been a natural public speaker. And all of a sudden I was stuttering. I was losing my words. I was in the middle of a presentation and my mind wandered and I started like, what the hell I was talking about? And it was embarrassing. And because I have a business and I need to speak to my clients, I couldn't communicate. And I thought maybe I'm having dementia, early dementia. Maybe I should close my business, just stay home. I had a scare. And it wasn't until I joined Menopause Cafe and I saw all these symptoms and other people even younger than me to go through this. And especially, I've always been very straightforward, balanced, and never took any happy pill. And then all of a sudden, I was having anxiety. My heart was racing. I couldn't sleep. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like wide awake. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh, these are the symptoms. And thanks to Menopause, Tasneem made me join. And I said, look, if I can fix those things, either naturally or through HRT, I can be a normal person again. And that's what happened after I started my awareness, studying, treatment, and I realized that those things are treatable. And you don't have to struggle alone. And now you can see I can speak normally. I do lose a few words, names, and I still have these wandering minds from time to time, but it's 90% better than before.
Great. That's nice to hear. And I think it's also, as Anita said before, it's also that number which scares us, right? The age factor, which often sits on our head, I believe, and we refuse to accept the fact, no, we're there, we're there, no, we're not there. That kind of a struggle, isn't it? Can I take your views, please?
Hi, my name is Huda. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stacy. I've been in menopause for 3 years, but before this, I used to have a lot of questions in my mind, and there is no answer. So I couldn't wait when they announced it in American Women Association about the Menopause Cafe. So I asked Tasni, my friend, to join. So we came there, and I feel so comfortable to talk, and I feel so that I'm not suffering alone, you know, with all the symptoms that I had. And I choose to go to the Ayurvedic medication, and I am in it for 2 months now. It helps a lot, yeah.
Right, that's a great testimony for the Menopause Cafe and the Ayurvedic. I know the conversation can go on because it's such a beautifully vast topic, but you know, every good thing has to come to an end. But before we close, Tracy, would you like to tell us, like, you know, how does the Menopause Cafe function? Do you have any thematic discussions happening, or what do you do, and how can members join you? If anyone would like to join you, how do we do that?
Well, as I said, one of the things that really attracted me to becoming a Menopause Cafe host was the simplicity and the idea that it is a discussion group, which means that every single conversation we have is led by the group. So there are no sort of preset questions or topics. It's not my role to try to lead anybody down any particular course towards any course of action or way of thinking. It's entirely led by the group. It's very simple. You just come. You just come. Come as you are. Have a coffee. And many people just come and they never really say much. They just sit and listen. That's absolutely fine. There's never any pressure to speak or engage or even contribute, because we just need people to come and find what they need. But just, it's more about the community and the camaraderie and the knowing that, as many of us have expressed today, what's happening is normal, although it's not really normal. It's normal for the life stage. And I would like to just one point, if I may, just sort of finish on a positive note.
Yes.
There are some of us in this group who are post-menopause, so I always refer to it as coming out the other side. And I say this because I know there may be women out there who are younger, not quite there yet. We have those women in our group as well. There's a lot of fear around it. In fact, I just had a conversation before we came up here today with a young lady in her 20s who said she's really afraid of it. And I just want to say that the fear comes from ignorance. Most of us arrived there not knowing what was happening to us. We didn't have the information. We didn't even know where to find it. There was no Menopause Cafe when I went first into perimenopause. And my experience in Bahrain was my wonderful gynecologist just said to me, there's nothing I can do for you, but please go out there and speak about it. And the message that I'd really like to end on is that it is not to be feared. It is a life stage. And if you enter this life stage prepared, educated, ready to advocate for yourself, hopefully younger women won't need to, because the landscape is really changing. Mm-hmm. The messaging is changing. This is really what I wanted to say, is that, you know, when you come out the other side like some of us have, it's for me, the most empowering life stage that I have ever been in. You will learn through, actually there was a quote that I wanted to share, and it's actually from Michelle Obama, funnily enough, and I hope I can find it very quickly. She says, the changes, the highs and the lows, the hormonal shifts, there is power in that.
Indeed.
And it's so true.
I love that.
It's so true.
I love that, yeah. I think everything about us women is so full of power, isn't it? Yes. Okay, as we come to the close, one question to all of you, and answer me in a word, please. Just one word. What do you feel to be in the Menopause Cafe?
Validated.
Brave. Supported.
Powerful.
Confidence.
Resource.
hope,
Comfortable.
confident.
And the mic comes back to me, and I feel blessed to have known all you women. Tracy, I've known you for years now, but the Menopause Cafe is indeed a beautiful space. Well, we were just listening to voices, wisdoms, and experiences of some remarkable individuals who've transformed or navigated through this journey of menopause. And the Menopause Cafe, as we heard, is a supportive space for women to help them go through this transition phase, life phase, where I think this society should give a hand to them. We all should be together in this journey. Anyone out there who wishes to join the Menopause Cafe, reach out to Tracy Burrows on her Instagram accounts, or drop us a message. We'll connect you with them. Thank you very much once again to all of you. This is Raji Unikrishnan signing off.